Hello. I'll be starting the webinar in 3 minutes. I'll shut my door, okay? Mm. Good morning. This is Jim Barlow with OakTree Strategic Leverage. And there's the question we're asking. Is there a better way? The Inversion Wealth Framework, a smarter way to build wealth. Welcome. Let's have some fun. I try to improve, make certain things clear. Here we go. I'll get my slides working for me. Okay. So, why OakTree? I believe there's a better way to protect more, to keep more, to do more with what you built. Time may have changed my role, but it doesn't take away my calling. I'm still striving, still seeking, still helping others find a better way. And I think there is. My background, I've got 40 plus years, financial services, founded Jim Barrow Advisors, sold it, founded OakTree Strategic Leverage. I'm a BYU graduate, lifelong Utah resident. Our values, faith, and family. We have 7 children, 28 grandchildren. We love temple service. We love helping others think differently. I believe wisdom should be shared generously. That's what I'm doing. Is there a better way? The Inversion Wealth Framework, a smarter way to build wealth or win without losing. Inversion thinking starts where others don't look. That's the reason for the iceberg. Most people focus on what they can see, returns, growth, performance. But failure usually starts here, underneath. Hidden risks, timing pressures, forced decisions. Is there a better way? Let's take transportation. Not in my lifetime, but there was the horse. And then they invented the car, and it took some time to catch on, but people began to see this as a benefit. I didn't put in there electric cars, but they're getting, maybe you own one yourself, a Tesla or Ford, or the multiple brands are coming out. And the next move, my son, David, he lets his Tesla drive him everywhere, self-driving, even planes, airplanes. It wasn't many years ago that very few of us flew. My grandkids are flying all the time. It's looking for a better way. Progress didn't improve the horse. We didn't improve the horse. It replaced the horse. It replaced the structure. We could make a long list of things where things have been improved, where we have a better way. Communications, letters. I have all my dad's World War II letters, so I'm going to finish that book I've been talking about for years. Then we got phones. I remember receiving my first email. I was at Zion's Investments. Then there's texting. Communications is a whole different ballgame. Information library, encyclopedias, Google, now AI. Is there a better way? There's a lot of things that are better ways. We're going to explore some here. Inversion thinking. Instead of asking, how do I succeed? Ask, what could cause me to fail? Look more carefully here. Then eliminate those things first. Power of inversion. Charlie Munger. It is remarkable how much long-term advantage people like us have gotten by trying to be consistently not stupid instead of trying to be very intelligent, trying to see where I can make a mistake. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't read that. Remove the causes of loss, and progress compounds. What actually destroys financial outcomes? Fragile structures, emotional decisions, underfunded obligations, sequence of risk, rising taxes, failed succession planning. Yesterday I was working on a new webinar, and I was working on sequence of risk. I have maybe I'll throw that slide in this one too, but serious, there's many ways our finances can be destroyed. Most people don't fail because they lacked effort. They fail because the structure broke under pressure. So I've developed what I call the Inversion Wealth Framework. First, you start with inversion. This way to think. Avoid ruin first. Look to find what the problems could be. Then, with that way of thinking, you find or build a structure that can't break. Then, because you've done that and you've got a solid structure, you can use some multiplication, some leverage to expand the return, and then let patience do its part. This is my inversion wealth framework. I gotta get the thing working again. Let's see, what am I doing wrong? Okay, I want to just go over these 4 layers a little bit. So avoid ruin first. Identify what destroys wealth. Eliminate permanent damage. Reduce hidden fragility. You win by not losing. Then build what cannot break. Protect against sequence risk. Maintain control of timing. Design for stress, not perfection. Structure is the edge. Performance is the outcome. The third layer, leverage. Amplify only after protection. Multiple outcomes safely. Use institutional capital. Avoid fragility. You'll understand this level a little bit later in more detail, at least with my product. Leverage without structure increases risk. Leverage with structure increases efficiency. Control leverage changes outcomes. Then patience. Let time do the heavy lifting. Let compounding work. Resist emotional decisions. Stay committed to the structure. Only what survives can compound. So, of the 4 points, everyone understands inversion, looking for the risk. Everyone understands leverage, increasing potential, and you understand patience, compounding work. The hard one is the structure. They fail to get this one right. Finding a structure or building a structure where execution doesn't break, where risks are not exposed, where behavior, you're not going to have these problems. So structure is the hardest of the 4. Structure before strategy. If structure is wrong, performance won't save you. If structure is right, you don't need to be perfect. The right structure changes everything. Small inputs create large outcomes. Leverage becomes safer. Time begins working for you. Most people chase returns. Sophisticated investors engineer structure. The cost of fragility. Examples. 2008. Not having a method of protection for that big down year, negative 37%. Market crash before retirement. Talk about timing. You can't, if a normal investment approach, you can't hardly deal with a crash right before retirement. Long-term care events. Have you got that covered? Is it protected? Business owner dies without a buy-sell agreement. There's some real cost of fragility. Most financial plans try to solve pieces of the problem, but what if the structure itself was designed differently? Designed for protection and liquidity, tax efficiency, institutional leverage, long-term compounding. This is what led me to Kaizen and discovered something that's cool. Kaizen is a Japanese word meaning continuous improvement. I like that. That's life. That has to be life. Continuous improvement for you as an individual. Kaizen is built on the belief that small structural improvements, repeated consistently over time, can create transformational financial outcomes, reduce the fragility, improve efficiency, and strengthen long-term outcomes. Kaizen is structured on a cash value life insurance framework. That's where we're starting. When you'll see the reasons why shortly. Long-term wealth accumulation, downside protection, tax-efficient income, strategic wealth transfer. Kaizen combines client capital, institutional leverage, structured index growth inside a long-term insurance framework. The goal is not maximum speculation. So to try and give you a little bit of an analogy, I'm going to talk about a car. The fastest vehicle means nothing if it cannot survive the journey. Sophisticated builders focus on the engineering. Every great vehicle depends on structure. The engine alone does not make a great car. You need a solid frame. You need brakes that work. That certainly matters. Steering matters. Balance matters. Structural durability matters. Performance is built beneath the surface. Understanding Kaizen through the structure. I'm going to show you the vehicle components with this analogy with Kaizen, the financial structure. So we got the chassis, the frame. We have in Kaizen, we have a structured cash value life insurance. That's the chassis. Then the engine is the institutional leverage, and you'll see how that works. Fuel. Your finite funding is 5 years of funding, and the institutional leverage is part of the fuel. Brakes, downside protection. Steering, flexible liquidity. Transmission, structured bank exit. Safety systems, structurally protected assets. Navigation, long-term planning. I had fun putting this together, thinking through the ideas. So the chassis, the foundation comes first. Without structural integrity, performance eventually becomes dangerous. The insurance chassis creates protection, liquidity, tax efficiency, financial capability, structural durability. The chassis. The engine, leverage, creates acceleration. Performance engine, institutional leverage, amplifies capital efficiency, accelerates potential outcomes, allows more capital to compound. The engine. Power without control creates danger. Brakes. Protection is not weakness. High performance brake systems is important. Great drivers need great brakes. Without protection, panic increases, mistakes increase, plans fail under stress. Financial fragility creates emotional decision making. Kaizen has a zero floor. Has insurance protection, controlled risk exposure, long-term design. The ability to avoid ruin changes everything. Steering system. Directional matters more than speed. Hands on steering wheel. Road ahead. Plan without directions drifts. Kaizen can be designed for retirement income, for family gifting, executive benefits, business succession. Direction, not speed, determines destination. And there's other uses for Kaizen, as I'll show you. Win without losing. The goal is not maximum speed. A reliable quality touring car. The goal is not to build the fastest financial vehicle. The goal is to build one that successfully completes the journey. Structure before strategy. Protection before performance. Survival before optimization. Kind of two different philosophies. You'll recognize these. Traditional. This is what investors do. look for performance. They're willing to take on more risk to get the performance. They're very market dependent. They have to react. Performance focused. That's investing. Structural planning, a little different. You build a structure, or you manage a structure, or you find a structure. You manage the risk. Structurally design intentional durability. I've never bought a Porsche yet. Maybe I will. Sophisticated performance, sophisticated structure. Maybe maybe Porsche's the epitome of this sophisticated structure. I don't know. What if one structure could support multiple future goals? Instead of asking which product solves this problem, what structure gives me the greatest future flexibility? Best structures adapt as life changes. Sorry, press wrong button. So I had some fun building a Swiss Army knife. Can Kaizen really be a Swiss Army knife? It really is. Multiple planning outcomes. You've got retirement income, probably the number one. Family gifting, solid number two. Executive employee benefits. This is the same as that retirement income, but you as the employer are doing it for as a benefit for your employees. Business successions. Oh, business fail because there's partners don't have the funds to buy out the other partner. This can be a solution there for that too. Legacy planning, wealth transfer, tax diversification. Kaizen is a multi Swiss Army knife. Liquidity planning, a lot of different methods for use of Kaizen. Life changes, good structures adapt. People often do not know today what retirement will cost, what taxes will become, when succession will occur, when heirs may need, what heirs may need, or where opportunities will emerge. You know that this is life. We can't, it's hard to plan for these things. But structure creates optionability. Flexibility is not accidental, it's designed. It's not merely a product, it's a structural framework designed for flexibility, adaptability, built around avoiding ruin first. One structure, multiple future applications. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you how a 46-year-old contributing $70,000 for 5 years can have an income over $130,000 a year when he retires. So the next few slides, I'm going to try to give you everything about Kaizen. Probably can't give enough detail, but we'll give it a whirl. I've cut up Kaizen into 4 areas: the foundation, the financial security, the growth, the leverage, and then the control. These are the things we put into Kaizen to make it work. So the foundation is a life insurance policy. You're protecting your family. You have a death benefit. That's life insurance. You've got living benefits. Living benefits is, I have a slide on that. Let me jump ahead. Living benefits, critical illness, lump sum for major health events, critical injury, support for severe injuries, chronic illness, long-term care, terminal illness, cognitive impairment. Some companies have all these things. Uh, I'll point that when you're ready, we'll show you which one has all of them, which of them don't have all of them, but other features. Living benefits. So we have the death benefit, we have the living benefits, we have the tax-free growth and access. When you die with a cash value life insurance policy, you never pay taxes as it grew. That's tax law. And it goes to your beneficiaries tax-free. So money in a life insurance policy can really grow and be returned tax-free. And you, as the owner, before you die, can use this tax-free benefit. You can borrow from the policy and not pay taxes. That's how we give you a retirement income. Build-in efficiencies. There's no advisory fee. There's no management fee. Yes, there is life insurance fees, but you've eliminated some fees that causes this thing to work. You'll see shortly in a hypothetical we're going to do. That's the foundation. The death benefit, living benefit, tax-free, lower fees. Then we have the growth part. Participate in growth without exposing capital to loss. Downside protection. It's an index universal life policy, and there's no downside. The worst year is 0. I'll show you how that's done. And you're doing market linked upside. You've got good performance, downside protection, and you don't, from a down year, you don't have to start from that down number. You have continuous compounding. No recovery years required. And then you, like I said, tax advantage access, potential tax-free income and liquidity. So here's how an index works in an index universal life policy. Most of the premium is allocated to high-grade bonds, with a small portion used for index options. Here's an example. $1,000 premium, $950 is going to the safety of these bonds, which is going to go back to $1,000 in a year. That's the protection. You can't lose. Then they take the whatever is available, $50 in this example, and buy options linked to different markets and whatever. Protection first, growth second. That sequencing is what makes the structure transformative. Here is some national life. I'm going to expand this and add in some Allianz, but in the indexes, here's some current numbers. You can invest in the S&P 500 index, or market linked, but you have a cap. See that 11%? That's the current cap today, April 11th. But you get 100% up to the 11. Here's the averages for the last 5, 10, and 15 years. Then they have some other indexes that are participation rates, no cap. Current participation in one called the U.S. Pace Setter Index is 260%. So here's the 5, 10, and 15-year averages there. More conservative index, and because that 260, we got some great 5, 10, and 15-year numbers. That's kind of this growth part. Zero downside, market participation. Leverage. Using institutional capital to enhance outcomes. Institutional leverage, we just do 3 to 1, approximately. More capital working from day one. If you're putting in 100,000, we're going to get a bank to put in $300,000 with no recourse structure, no personal guarantees outside collateral. There's no going to be a money call. This accelerates outcome. You get money making money on other people's money, reaches objective sooner. Efficient capital use. Yeah, it is. No recourse and a small amount of leverage. Here's what it looks like. I mentioned 5 years. The silver pigs are your pigs. You either have 5 annual payments for 5 years, or you're doing monthly payments for 5 years. And the bank approximately puts in about what you were putting in for that first 5 years. That's the gold pigs. Then after 5 years, you're done. You're not putting any more money in. And the bank continues to pay what they were paying for the first 5 years, but they pick up what you were paying. And it almost graphically shows a 3-to-1. Money's going into this policy for 10 years. Structured differently than traditional borrowing. There's no personal guarantees, no outside collateral, no traditional loan process, institutional underwriting built into the structure. This is about eliminating risk, eliminating you having to find some money. It's about structuring it so it can't break you. Control, structural control, maintaining control of timing, access, and outcomes. There's a lot of things that the founders of Kaizen put in to make this work. Protected ownership. We set it up in a trust, your name, your trust, and then with a overseeing trust. The trust is doing the borrowing from the bank. They are the ones with on the hook. The trust gives you protected ownership, and these all come out. All these trusts are set up in Nevada, which gives greater creditor protection than any other state in the country. Finite funding is the 5 years. Key writers. We had a bunch of writers to this to make this thing work and be protected. Flexible liquidity. After the 10 years and 5 years, we like to think 15 years. After that first 15 years, you have a whole lot more flexibility and liquidity than a 401k or an IRA. Then it's really turnkey. Minimum management required. For that person that really hates the stock market, you can get nice returns with no thinking about it at all. That's the control part. So here's the 4 quadrants we just went over. The foundation, the growth, the leverage, and the control. These are the pieces of Kaizen. And as you have questions, we can go over more detail on any of these things. I've got a second Kaizen knife. It is related, I guess, but anyway, you get protection from the Kaizen. Sequence protection, behavioral protection, creditor protection, downside protection, living benefits. You get growth, compounding, acceleration, capital efficiency, market participation. You get this 3-to-1 leverage, non-recourse design, efficient capital development. You get control, liquidity, flexible access, future optionability, turnkey simplicity, and taxes. Tax-free access, tax diversification, no required minimum distribution, estate efficiency. This is a multi-tool, a Swiss Army knife. Without losing, structure's the edge. Performance is the outcome. Now, in the back of your mind, you've been thinking there's this life insurance cost. Life insurance isn't a percent. I can't say it's 1% because it depends on the age. How much death benefit are you getting? What's the health? So it's a more nebulous cost, but in an illustration, you can see it totally. The question isn't, is there a cost? Yes, there is a cost for insurance. The question is, does the structure create more value than it consumes? What the structure enables: downside protection, tax advantage income, death benefit, leverage, liquidity. The goal is a structure that provides superior outcomes. Ultimately, we don't want the life insurance to be a cost at all to you. We have some software. That's the name of it in the upper right, left. Interactive Learning Information System. We call it ILIA. This software is part of a website you can have access to. It gives you, there's the index on the left. It gives you details on Kaizen, videos, and I'm going to use this software to estimate my benefits for my hypothetical. And you can have access to this too without purchasing. It's still available. So my hypothetical, I'm going to use a 46-year-old male, excellent health, 70,000 annually for 5 years. Then I'm going to pay out from 65 to 90. I'm going to have an illustrated growth rate of 6.81%. That's dictated by the National Association Commissioners. I have a lack of wording in my head. We're going to use an income tax rate of 37%, capital gains of 20%, and we'll show you the comparison between all the different options. So here's the chart we're going to build out. We're going to show you if you put 70,000 of that 6.81 for 5 years into an after-tax investment, what income will that generate starting age 65? Then we're going to do a tax-deferred IRA, 401k, then we're going to do Kaizen. Let's get started. First, after paying taxes, the 6.81, the 70,000 a year for 5 years can give you an income of 58,642 starting age 65, and that's map that out all the way through 90. So you're getting that check every year. Total 1,524,688. I wanted to give as maximum income as possible in this example, so I've used every penny. Age 91, zero income. Tax deferred, 74,106. Deferring taxes, 401k, IRA works. That's quite a bit more income for the same as 6.81% return, same one. And again, I give a maximum income through age 90. Now, Kaizen, drum roll, please. Is it going to be, what, is it going to be over 74,000? It is. You probably knew that. 84, 94, 104. What is it going to be? Drum roll, please. Let's look. Wow. 130,000. Tax free, no downside, no advisory fee, no management fee, same return, interest rate return, 130,000 income. You'll pull out 3,380,000. And we had death benefit at age 46, 2 million. And we have death benefit at age 90, 1,000,007. And if I did this illustration through 195, you'd have still been having that 130,000 income. Looks pretty good. It is good. So a lot of people say this looks too good to be true. Well, it is for real. Let's go on a little bit more. Kaizen has been stress tested against two the worst case environments our country has had. First one, the high interest rates of the 1980s. Loan rates got up to 16.88%. We're going to simulate Kaizen in the 1980s, just show you on that graph, all those numbers, how it does. Then we're going to go look at the Great Depression, 1930-32, the worst sequence in U.S. history. We're going to show 9 years of zero over 12 years. And zero is a neat return when you have negative years. Zero floor, no downside. We're going to show you both these things. Okay. So the stress test of 1980, 97,500. Well, it's not 130,000, but wow. It's still, what, 23,000 over the tax deferred, a whole lot more than that after tax. Wow. It still is competing. Oh, guess what? Those first two in that environment would have been down. What I did, I took the percentage difference, 130 to 97, and reduced those two what they would have been. So 43 to 55. They weren't immune to the high interest rates. So now it's looking really, really nice. 97. Then we got the Great Depression. Oh, lower than 97, 84,500, but still higher than 74 or 58. And if we change those numbers, they'd have been 38 and 48. That 84,000 looks pretty good. So we stress test Kaizen that is still going to perform nicely in bad times. I've got another drum roll, please. What could I be adding to now? Well, I'll tell you. Allianz, one of our life insurance companies we use, and a really good one, they wanted to study this ILIA illustration system. They wanted to make sure we weren't lying, we weren't fibbing, we weren't making some numbers up. So they did their own evaluation, and they discovered that there's an 80% chance that 130,000 is double. 80% chance the 130,000 is 260,000. Now look at the total income through age 90. Wow. Double. There's the numbers. Maybe you'll get 260. Maybe you'll get the 84. Still a whopping difference from the 58 and 74. Kaizen works. Now, what if this 46-year-old fellow was not excellent health, but average health? Well, 130,000 went to 120. Okay. Well, that's not too bad. It's still beating these others. And the double would have been 240, and there's the approximate for the stress test numbers. So even if they're average health, now if you're much lower than average health, then you probably can't purchase Kaizen. But average health or excellent health, you can. What if this person was a female? Well, the 130,000 became 133. Better health, better longevity, the female over the male. So excellent health, average health, female, it works. Kaizen works. Now, a little historical numbers. These are pretty important. The very first policy issued was in 2012. A statement comes out on June 27th every year for this client. This is one of the owners of NIW, the founders of Kaizen. This owner owns multiple Kaizen policies. This is the first policy issued. She has averaged 7.85 return per year. Not bad, looks good. And she's averaged 3.95 on the interest she's paid on the borrowed money. Therefore, we can create something called a spread. We take the 7.85, subtract the 3.95, we get 3.9. She has made on the borrowed money 3.9 since 2012. Now, I put there a long-term historical SP 500 average, about 10% a year. So Jim, 7.85, it doesn't look that cool when you could get 10. Well, let me think about this. Remember that 7.85 was tax advantage, virtually tax-free. So let me just take 25% as the tax rate. It'd be 7.5. 7.5 looks pretty good against the 7.85. Now, getting down to reality of what's averages. So, we're wrapping things up. The inversion summary. How do investors ask? Most investors, how do I earn more? We ask, how do I lose less? Traditional approach, return, hope, outcome. Inversion approach, avoid ruin, build structure, leverage, and compound. Why most people never discover Kaizen? Ooh. Traditional financial world, investment advisors, CPAs, attorney, bankers, each sees only their piece, their slice, including me as an investment advisor. I discovered Kaizen after I sold Jim Barlow Advisor. I was spending more time looking for what's out there. Kaizen sits at the intersection of insurance, banking, tax planning, and estate planning. It's the Swiss Army knife. Most people never see the structure because no single advisor owns the whole picture. Is Kaizen a fit? Typically best for successful professionals, business owners, high-income families, long-term planners. Key factors: good health. Gotta have good health. Ability to fund over time, the 5 years, and a long-term perspective. Individual qualifications vary by carrier and case design. The 4 questions. Do you want more retirement income? Do you want greater tax efficiency? Do you want downside protection? Do you want institutional leverage? If yes, let's continue the conversation. There's multiple ways to learn. I'm going to show you 4. This is a landing page, website, whatever you want to call it. And You're not logging in with a password or anything. You're just going to it and reading, watching the videos. There's 10 chapters on Kaizen here. You can study this out thoroughly, all on your own. And if you have questions, I can be there to help. There's my number at the top of this site with my email. There's the QR code. With that QR code, you can go to this site and spend all the time you want. Here's a second one. It's still Kaizen, but this is for the special people that are gifting Kaizen to a son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter. So it's the idea of using Kaizen for the next generation and what it can do for them. Same chapters and the videos, just a different slant, like the first one. And there's a QR code. Third is the ILIA I showed you. I didn't show you too much, but with the estimate my benefits, this site here, you need to have a login and a password. So you have to request access to this one. This is the one I use every day to figure out, estimate benefits, and actually get it all done. So if you want to start here, just text me, email me, uh, name and your birthday and your email and your cell phone. That's all we need. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Or just my website. I have a great web designer. He behind the scene, he does everything I need to do this perfectly. It's an excellent website. It has lots of stuff on it. I'm improving it all the time. I've got quick links on this site that you can go to, retire income gap calculator, all these things up above. Um, here is a quick look at my retirement income gap calculator, the basic one. I have an advanced and the basic. I designed this. I I took the time. It's fun, it's easy, it's free on my website. You put in your age, what age you want to retire, what you think inflation is going to be per year. You put in your current annual income. I put that people use 80% of their annual income for in retirement. If you want to change that to 100 or something, you can. And you put in what you've accumulated and what average return you're going to get in the market, and then you calculate your income gap calculator. And advanced has Social Security involved and more more complexity, but it's not too bad. Anyway, that's on my website. So after 40 years plus in this business, I've learned to separate products from structures. Most financial tools are products. A few are structural. When someone has the runway, that means the time and the health to qualify. I've yet to see a more efficient long-term structure than Kaizen. So there we are. You've attended. Is there a better way? There's those two QR codes. If you didn't get a chance to do them at that time, there's my office phone number. There's my email. There's my website. Happy to help you in whatever your financial desires are in using Kaizen. Um, Working on a new webinar for next week. I think it'll be fun if I get it finished, but just maybe a little different. Anyway, appreciate everyone attending today, and hope you have a great rest of the week and a great month, and talk to you later. Bye, Jim Barlow.